Good time of day, guys! My name is Godzi, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry, Ch.3 Tatarigoroshi. Last episode, Satoko came back to school and had a frickin' breakdown, and that was a wild episode, just all around. So now, before we start the episode, we're going to go into spoiler time to talk about the new episode of the anime. I have, almost nothing to say, though, so this shouldn't take long, alright? Let's begin. Yeah. So, like I said, I got nothing to say. It still kind of seems like they're just speeding through Tatarigoroshi so far. I'm glad the episode ended where it did, because that's basically just a little bit before where I am in the arc here, although I'm hoping that something in particular will be very different starting next episode, or else I'm probably going to see things that happened in this arc that I don't necessarily remember happening. So, yeah, although there was actually the scene of Keiichi chasing after Teppei with a baseball bat, I do remember that happening basically in the exact same way that it was there. Sure, it was portrayed as a dream. That's probably, the only big difference that happened. There's some other differences, Rika being a bit more forward with Chie trying to get her to actually do something about Satoko and stuff like that. Plus, the first day of school, Satoko actually came back. It seems like the same events happening, but a lot faster. Satoko still showed up at school on that first day, instead of not showing up until the third day. And she shows up she shows up on the third day, too. She doesn't show up on the second. We actually see Chie go to Teppei's house, so yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on, really. If Satoko is somehow in the time loop, then I feel like there's something else going on that we're not being shown yet. But I got no clue as to what that is. Because the only other thing I can really think of that would be, ridiculous on that line would be oh, Teppei is also in the time loop. But that's a big fucking doubt moment, you know? Because it's my theory so far is Rika, Bernkastel, Satoko, Lambda Delta, so where the fuck does Teppei fit in? The character he looks most like from Umineko is probably, some really weird combination between Kraus, Rudolph, and Kinzo. And it's that's not a character. that does not matter, I would imagine. So, yeah, but what if Rudolph, Kraus, and Kinzo were all the same person at the same time? They weren't, I'm imagining. Because, yeah, probably not. So, let's just, end spoiler time and read. Welcome back, guys. Let's read.
Keiichi-kun, are you alright?
Rena, Mion, and Rika-chan were looking after me. Had I fallen to the floor?
You surprised us. You suddenly fell down. Were you having a nightmare? You were moaning.
Shut it. Quit squeaking at me like that. Oh yeah, I forgot. Keiichi is also just yeah, I'm gonna go kill Satoko's uncle. Your friend's uncle starts abusing her. What you gonna do? I'm gonna kill her uncle.
Heep!
My friends gave a start and backed away. What? Rena and the others. They exchanged glances, unsure of what to say, and stood confused for a few moments.
Was that your voice, Keiichi-kun?
Oh, does he sound different now, or a different tone? Of course it was. Rena gulped firmly and opened her mouth.
For a second, Keiichi-kun, your eyes were really scary.
My eyes? Probably just a trick of the light. Don't waste my time. I'm not mistaken. I've never seen those kinds of eyes before. What were these guys talking about? They've all been too scared of me lately.
You are Keiichi Maebara-kun, right?
What was Rena saying? Who else do I look like except Keiichi Maebara? The look I gave her seemed to speak quite eloquently to those irritated thoughts. She understood and quickly apologized.
I'm sorry. Don't worry about it.
One of these days. Yeah, I fucking knew I was probably very close to the end of that part, but sometimes you just can't take the risk, you know? Tips, hello. Emergency and R2-D2. I don't fucking know. Achievement unlocked 1500 seconds. Okay. Emergency. Yeah, everything here is just a fucking book. Like, June 18th, 1983. Abuse issues regarding Satoko Hojo. Urgent. We propose that Satoko Hojo must be taken into immediate custody based on the items below. 1. Family situation. Life with adoptive father who recently returned to Hinamizawa has already turned disastrous, and she is currently subject to unendurable physical and mental abuse from the father. 2. Child Consultation Center's response. A child probation officer was dispatched yesterday on the 17th from the prefecture welfare office, but because of the 77 case, changed to continued coaching and cautionary action. Unfortunately, the consultation office head does not properly understand the situation. 3. Status of concerned child. Child already appears to be suffering from an outbreak of something close to neurosis or manic depression. If her unstable pubescent mind is negatively stimulated by stress, it will put her development of a healthy body and mind at risk. This cannot be allowed to continue from a humane standpoint. 4. Allegations made to the family court. We propose, based on the above items, that Satoko Hojo should immediately be taken into protective custody. She should be secured temporarily under emergency allegations to the family court under Article 28. We request emergency coordination between all related agencies. So they're not just waiting and seeing, huh? D2-3 number 44. Okay. Children with special needs, general, D2-3 number 44. Blank, blank, comma, 1977. Child name, Satoko Hojo, blank years old. Residence, blank, Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. 1. Consultation circumstances. Telephone SOS from child of child abuse. 2. Abuse situation. Child claims she is being physically abused by her adoptive father. 3. Family structure. Circle marks abusers. Adoptive father, real mother, older brother, child in question. Note, adoptive father and real mother entered family registry in 19 blank blank. The child is the daughter of the mother's previous husband. 4. Child Consultation Center's response. On the day of the child's telephone consultation, the center called the child's school and asked of her situation. On that day, the child welfare officer on duty visited the child's house and conducted an interview. The adoptive father sincerely listened to instruction and agreed to take child-raising workshops in the city from now on. As part of the suggested coaching, the center will continue to observe the situation. 5. Other notes. As a result of numerous counseling sessions at the city's education consultation office regarding the child, we learned there was a high possibility the cause of the child's excessive distrust towards her adoptive father was the result of a lack of communication. The abuse she claimed hadn't actually taken place. She had made a false report to distance herself from her adoptive father. Below was a note written in pencil by the person on duty at the time. The problem appeared to be more with the daughter. Chief Investigator F of the city's education consultation office said that most of her stories of abuse were likely fabrications. They decided to shift the focus of their coaching to the child. Be cautious not to take everything the child says as truth. Alright. Mion and the others, having to set up for the Watanagashi festival or something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? Mion had a lot of nerve. The first thing I did when I got back was take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off sweat, it was because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so very easy. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it. Why is the rain so fucking loud? Not the rain. The fucking... This sound effect in particular is a lot louder than the other ones in this game. I'd imagine you can still hear me well enough, so that should be fine, but... whatever. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we could get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force have the highest arrest rate in the world. I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trials with people brought up on false charges. At court, they consider whether the charges are false or not, but figuring out the real criminal is entirely out of scope. And that meant perfect crimes did exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. They could even be respected and revered. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult-to-solve incidents involving secret rooms and alibis and stuff, but they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the Curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood. They must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods. Those are perfect crimes. And I would be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama's series of perfect crimes 4 years in the running. If I were to put it boldly, I was challenging a god. Oh boy, we're going full JRPG mode. Let's go! Foolhardiness would be needed to make the decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, colder than ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I need to retain both of those ideas within me. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes, kidnappings involved disturbing, original methods that made it into the newspaper were used as a basis for novels after the person was arrested. Stuff like that made it into the news. Stuff like that, okay, yeah. Day and night, for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could be a shortcut to planning the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I haven't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. Are we getting some multiverse shit, possibly? She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched mystery shows, she would always criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her. Don't tell me you're gonna fucking ask her. Bro! Hey mom, what do you think of perfect crimes? Keiichi, you're not planning on killing someone, are you? What? No, I'm just suddenly showing an interest in something I've never shown an interest in, mom. Yeah, I'm gonna... and in his mind, he's just like, yeah, I'm totally gonna commit the perfect crime. Step 1, ask my mom about perfect crimes. Mom, how do I commit a perfect crime? Oh, well, sweetie, first thing you gotta do is use anything other than, like, a weapon that you would have to leave at the scene. And it's like, but no, you wouldn't have to leave any weapon at the scene. Like, what would be the point of that? Like, whatever. This is stupid. This is dumb. Keiichi's an idiot, to be fair, but still. What do I think the most well-done perfect crime in all the mystery novels I've read is? Yeah. Well, you've read quite a lot of them, right? I figured you might know a lot about them. It's more fun to read them to find out. If I told you all the tricks right off the bat, they'd be no fun anymore. It wasn't like I was asking for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I would somehow butter her up first and draw out an answer. Of course. Well done, mystery novels. Yeah. They all have a unique charm to them, so it's hard to say which is the most interesting. You'd really have to force me to pick one. I didn't want to know which novels you liked. I wanted to know about the trick that made you the most surprised. If it was a really perfect trick, the detectives wouldn't be able to solve the case, though. That was true. Then there'd be no point. Mystery novels are enjoyable because of the process of the mysteries getting solved. If it was unsolvable, it wouldn't make a very good topic for a novel. I get it. Yeah, you're right. If the main character can't solve it, it wouldn't be much of a story, huh? Was I being too simplistic? A mystery novel was basically a game. This is meta as fuck, but before it was... But it's meta before it was meta? Technically? Like, holy shit, if Ryukishi had written Higurashi after he wrote Umineko, then this would be a very interesting scene. There's no way he went back to this scene in particular, though, like this whole concept, and decided, yeah, what if I expand on that even more, to the point where I make something longer than Higurashi itself? I mean, that's possible. It's totally within the realm of possibilities, but holy fuck, just the fact that this is meta before it was technically supposed to be meta, even though it was probably never even supposed to be meta. How long in advance did he plan Umineko while he was writing Higurashi? Did he? Did he not think of it until after he was done? Huh. You can tell I'm just thinking too hard about this. I should just read, but, you know, whatever. Sometimes I want to talk about things, you know? A mystery novel... I already read that line. Nice. They were written so that you can get to the goal, so that you could solve them. But I couldn't use something so optimistic. It needed to be the be-all, end-all of tricks, so that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives. By the way, Keiichi, do you understand that truly perfect crimes don't even become stories? Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly. I'd never gotten to read it, but apparently one time, a long time ago, Mom had written her own mystery novel and submitted it for some mystery novel award. Apparently she was really into it. Don't even become stories? What does that mean? Keiichi, what are the essential parts of a story? A beginning, a middle, and an end? Correct. The beginning, of course, is especially important. If there is no beginning, then the story never starts. Well, yeah. If nothing happened, nothing would begin. Right. Nothing happened, so there wouldn't even be an incident. Detectives wouldn't be called, so there wouldn't be any mystery. There would be no mystery, so there would be no solution. In other words, it would be the ultimate perfect crime. Wait a second. Could you explain that again? My mom just told me something absurd, and she was saying it so smoothly too, so I kind of tuned her out, but she said something extremely important just now. It's not really that difficult to understand. The incident just has to never come to light, that's all. Just has to never come to light. Keiichi, you are seriously the biggest fucking dumbass in the world. For example, how about this? Say there's an old man living deep in a forest nobody goes to. Uh-huh. And one day, the old man gets killed by an axe. And, let's say the criminal was the old man's son. He went to the old man's house and they were drinking together, but they got into a fight and he killed him. What an extremely cheap plot. It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. It was pretty far from a perfect crime. But Keiichi, the house was really, really deep in this forest. So deep in the mountains that nobody would ever go out that far. Then his son would go back to town and say that the old man was doing fine. What about that as a perfect crime? Keiichi, this incident would only begin when it was found out that the old man was killed. If nobody ever visited the old man's house after that, that beginning would never occur. The beginning would never occur. So basically, the story wouldn't start. The incident wouldn't come to light, and they wouldn't call in detectives. And nobody would be suspicious in the first place, so there would be no mystery. They'd think the old man was still living by himself deep in the forest, and the old man's face would appear in the sky, and that would be it. Something like that, you know? That's amazing! That's a pretty great trick! But it wouldn't be a novel. Mystery novels are for entertainment, after all. They can't be instruction manuals for perfect crimes. I was trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving huge sums of cash. None of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was that there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I could kill him without anyone finding out, and dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find, it would basically already be a perfect crime. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day all of a sudden, people would get suspicious, but that didn't apply to this man. Last year, after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of Oyashiro-sama. When the night of Watanagashi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. Okay, I was thinking that you are very, very dumb, knowing how you kill him, or how you choose to go about killing him. But no, that's actually pretty decent reasoning. I mean, he had been living with a lover of his in town. No matter what, well, she's dead, so no matter what it felt like when he vanished, no one would be suspicious. People hated him after all. No one would care where he went if he disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There was no point in thinking inside my house anymore. I left, getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cool air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how I'd do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. If I just had those 4 things, I could get a good plan going. I was so surprised at how little there was to decide that I shivered. I'd been completely prepared to build this humongous plan over a really long period of time. But if I could just get these little things in order, I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I would have to kill him on the night of Watanagashi. So as long as I was standing in for Oyashiro-sama, I only had 24 hours remaining. Satoko, just hang on for 24 more hours. I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more. But please, hold out for a little longer. I know you can't even last another second. I know that. But please, just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. You're just trying to sound cool now, Keiichi. Like, outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon. Evening was still a long way off. I looked at the sky. At some point, it had gotten cloudy. Come to think of it, as I left the house, I heard on the TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was the color of lead. Oh, is it? Really? What color is lead? Like, I know lead isn't what's in pencils, that's graphite, technically. So is it really still gray? I don't fucking know. If I heard a little bit of thunder, I'd definitely have expected a sudden evening shower. Why does this sound like the fucking title screen music to an SNES game? Like, what is this song? My first destination was school. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing that man I had decided upon. Okay, you already thought of something, okay. And I'm pretty sure I know what you're doing. I decided that the most suitable death, the one I needed to give him, was the same as last year's curse. The same as the punishment their aunt had received, being beaten to death. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? You may think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable, but this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. You just needed to think realistically. The law, it prohibited carrying any blades longer than 10 centimeters, I think. So the blades available to me, even the longest ones, were still limited to things shorter than a ruler. You can probably understand how tricky it would be with such a short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. In that case, a weapon with more reach, like a staff, would be far more advantageous. It might not be quite as inherently lethal, but since you could just keep hitting the guy until you killed him, the end result was the same. So what's a staff-like deadly weapon, terrifyingly powerful, and also eminently portable? By this point, you should immediately think of a metal baseball bat. I don't need to explain how terrifying a metal baseball bat can be as a weapon. Of special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose a metal bat for my weapon, but there was one more reason for choosing a metal bat in particular. I will speak about it later. Okay. You're being really weird, Keiichi. Like, I understand, but still. After school that Saturday, my classmates were still having fun, playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and be the same as always, so nobody will think I'm suspicious. Getting my hands on the weapon without looking suspicious was actually a factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so if I went to a sports store looking for a metal bat, it would definitely be suspicious. I can't let there be a beginning to the story, so I needed to be really careful even about that. That left school. At a location at which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay in there were me and the others when doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as if I'd just gone to get something I'd forgotten, I casually went in the entrance. It looked like the teacher was busy with paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quickly as a shadow, I entered the classroom. The empty room was full of a strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. An empty classroom, with nobody here. Maybe while no one was around, the desks creep about of their own accord, licking the floors clean of dirt. If I suddenly stepped into a place like that, would the desks, in their surprise, fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive? Okay, dude. That's ridiculous. I felt regret at wasting valuable thinking time on stupid delusions. That's what you're fucking reminding me of. This dude sounding just like Takuji, kinda? Like, that's what he's reminding me of right now. And they don't look terribly different either, like he's just brown-haired Takuji. The students' lockers were lined up in the back of the classroom. The one I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker, one I had accidentally discovered one day. Here it is. Hojo? This has to be it. If one person has one locker, then why would only Satoko have two? I'd made a fuss about it once. After that, I learned it was Satoshi's locker, and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though it was a locker for a student no longer here, looking inside it was still a shameless act. But one time, I let my curiosity get the better of me and took a peek inside. Inside, it was average and worthless, and at the time I hadn't been interested, so until now I'd forgotten what had been in it. But now that I had, dare I say it, awakened. Yeah, it's just fucking Takuji mode, that's all he's doing. I remembered the thing that had been there. Scrape. I opened the locker, and a stench of mold and sweat wafted out, like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. My face puckered up at the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on Coach's baseball team. Inside the locker was a Hinamizawa fighter's uniform. And it. The one Satoshi used. The metal bat. Yes. This was the reason I wanted to choose this bat. This murder would be carried out by me, but this wasn't originally my role. It was Satoshi's. But I would stand in for him and call myself Satoko's Nini. It was one of the rules for standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and firmly grasped it. That's a missed opportunity, you realize, translators. It was light, and yet its tip had enough heft in it. Enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I will stand in for you. So if you still care even a little bit about her, you will lend me your strength. There's no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now I just needed to figure out where to hide it. Tomorrow, before the act, I would just stop by the school and grab it. because I couldn't ignore the possibility someone would see me bringing it home and think it was strange. But if I left it here, there wouldn't be a problem. Plus, tomorrow was Sunday. Not only that, it was the day of the biggest festival in the whole village. Nobody would be coming to school. I left out the entrance and went over to a construction vehicle parked nearby. We'd been warned by our teacher not to touch it just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't, because if she found out they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid it in the shadow of the vehicle. The chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none, because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had the day off, and from what my classmates had said, the thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years. You can't just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitively fine in this case. Okay, I thought that was a fucking photo flash from Tomatake, but nope. The sunlight was piercingly hot. My head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh for the entire day? A moment of dulled thoughts like this was a moment of carelessness. I gave myself a couple hits in the head, then looked around warily. Okay. Next, how to dispose of the corpse. Ooh. I don't know if you guys can hear anyone talking outside of my room. My mic's a cardioid, so it ideally shouldn't be picking them up that much, but I don't know. It might be. So, Disposing of the corpse. The ultimate way not to create a beginning was to not let the corpse be found. It was even more important than killing him. Thinking on it vaguely, the first thing that came to mind was the swamp. Onigafuchi, the dreadful bottomless swamp revered even now, that appeared in the legends of Onigafuchi Village. Yes, the swamp called Onigafuchi was here first, and then the village took its name to become Onigafuchi Village. It's a stupid idea, Keiichi. Don't put the body in the swamp. The police and Oishi search it fucking constantly, don't they? So it's like, the chances of him being found are existent, so go elsewhere. In other words, this swamp was the origin of Onigafuchi Village. No one, no matter who it was, would float back to the surface of this bottomless swamp. Everyone would be swallowed down into the land of the demons below the earth. That was how the stories went. If I was trying to copy Oyashiro-sama's curse, then I felt that theory demanded I discard the remains and the weapon into the swamp. Okay. Dude, people would notice the weapon missing. Like, you would have to fucking clean it off and put it back, sir. Or if you dent it, then, well, you're fucked, I guess, but they may have said it's bottomless, but I didn't actually know. And people say large creatures like humans produce a lot of gas when they rot, granting a lot of buoyancy. It was why using fairly heavy objects to hold people down didn't work. Come to think of it, with the curse the year before last, Rika-chan's mother drowned herself in the swamp. And the criminal behind the dismemberment that went missing the year of the first curse, too. It was rumored he tried to discard the body in the swamp and accidentally drowned in it. I never heard of the corpse coming back up or them finding it. Then, shouldn't I choose to discard the corpse there, too? I could discard the weapon there. And then, for example, if her uncle came out on a motorcycle and attacked, it would be convenient to get rid of the bike, too. Okay, yeah. I knew that Satoko's uncle generally used a motorcycle for transportation. But as for the corpse... After a lot of worrying, I decided not to discard the corpse in the swamp. The drowning, suicide, and accident were both rumors. Nobody knew if they'd actually happened. There were no lack of false rumors about the drowning suicide anyway, and it was possible the murderer hadn't drowned there and was still on the run. That meant no one had ever confirmed a corpse being dropped in there and then not coming back up. What the fuck? Oh, there's like a cat crossing the road outside. That's not my cat either. That's probably not even a cat. Then what would I do with the body? I thought it might be interesting to go with the first incident, cut him to pieces and hide him, but the preparation and work for dismembering a human body would be difficult given the amount of time I had. Yeah, that's not a cat, that's like a fox or something. Cool. With that out of the question, I arrived at the conclusion to go with the more orthodox method of burying the body. Then where I would bury it was a question related to where I would kill him. Of course, I wanted to keep my time in proximity to the body at a minimum. With that in mind, I would want to dig the hole to dump the body in beforehand, and to make the location of the act and the hole close together. The choice of where to plan the crime, that I needed to be absolutely careful and thorough with. It had to be somewhere nobody would witness it, in a place with hiding places for a sneak attack. I could dig a hole for the body right there. I go over the possibilities in my head of the various destinations her uncle would head to from Satoko's house. I imagined a map of the area in my head, and then I found a place that fulfilled those conditions so easily it was almost unbelievable. A bit of back road that went through the woods. I didn't think her uncle would go deeper into the mountains of Yagauchi on a whim. If he was going somewhere, he'd pass through these woods first. And nobody used this back way unless they had something to do at Satoko's house or one or two other places. This path was fantastically ideal, as few people used it. I would wait for him in these woods. Would an ambush actually be possible? I went into the trees and tried really hiding myself in a few places. It was extremely quiet. My senses could be sharpened here to their maximum amount. I didn't know when he'd come, but I'd wait right here for Satoko's uncle. I actually had some trouble coming to that decision. The question arose of whether I should somehow call the man out. Was there a risk I'd be taking by luring him here? That man made Satoko do all the shopping and errands. He seldom left on his own business. He wouldn't leave unless I worked out a plan to force him to, would he? That was the question. Tomorrow was the Watanagashi festival. Would he go out for the festival or would he stay inside? If he stayed inside, how would I drag him out of his house? That's right. Wouldn't he make Satoko go to the festival? Satoko would go to the festival. Meanwhile, I would call the man. This is the Okinomiya police station. We have the young lady from your house. Could you come and pick her up immediately? It didn't even have to be the police. This is the clinic. The young lady from your house has been injured. Please come and pick her up. Yes, that would work too. If I claimed to be the police or the hospital, told him to come and then hung up on him, he'd rush there trying to figure out what was going on, wouldn't he? And just the other day, he was visited by a probation officer. He wouldn't suddenly grumble about having to get his niece and not go. It would look like child neglect. The man had no skills useful around the house. Satoko, his slave, was an essential part of his daily life. Conclusion. If he went out to the festival, I would attack him here on his way there or back. If he didn't, I would lure him out by phone. If luring him out by phone was my first step, I needed to be sure Satoko would go to the festival, leaving the house. It would be convenient if I could make Mion take Satoko to the festival. She said her aunt was a district welfare officer. In other words, an ally to the probation officer. If I somehow incited Mion to take Satoko to the festival with her, well, being who she was, she'd use that fact and get her there. Satoko should just take a break and have fun at the festival with everyone. She should have a good time, reminisce on our former peaceful days, and when she went home, everything would be over. Yeah, that would be the best outcome. With that decided, I needed to dig a hole somewhere in the woods to hide the body, so it wouldn't stand out, so it wouldn't be found. Someplace nobody would see me while I was completely exposed as I buried the corpse. I had wanted it to be close to the scene of the crime, but it naturally grew farther away. Deep in the bosom of the Black Forest, the voices of the Higurashi were the only sounds here, informing me that people shouldn't indiscreetly set foot in this place. Digging a hole, huh? Digging a hole with so many tree roots crawling around the ground would be far more difficult than I'd envisioned. I snuck a gardening spade out here in my bag, but that wouldn't be enough. Still, as I looked into various approaches, I managed to find a place I could dig into. Tomorrow, I'd bring a real shovel from the storeroom at home. I'd manage with that. I wondered how big a hole would have to be to fit a human all the way into it. I'd probably have to dig pretty deep down, but if I was slipshod in these efforts, I'd let a beginning occur. I absolutely couldn't allow that. Use any amount of time you need to. I mustn't spare any effort to utterly erase him. I glanced at my wristwatch. It was a little past 6. This was probably all I was going to get done here for today. I really wanted to dig the hole in advance tonight, even if it got dark out, but Mom would be upset if I stayed out that late. It wouldn't be good to come off as suspicious to my parents. I needed to go back home and give Mion a call soon. I needed to get her to promise Satoko to take her by tonight. After that, today would be done. I'm thinking that line was fucking written wrong. I'd assume it's supposed to say, I needed to get her to promise to take Satoko by tonight, or something like that. Done. Would it be, though? Was this really everything I could do to prepare right now? I decided where to kill him. Oh, I just scrolled up. I decided how to kill him. I decided, of course, how to dispose of the body. I didn't decide on a time, but I would play that by ear. I didn't have a way to decide that. Was that really all? Was this really all right? Have I overlooked anything? Would this really go how I planned? After all this, worries started blowing up one after another. It was only natural I'd be anxious. This would be the first and last big job of my lifetime. I could not allow failure, and I had no experience as this was my first time. I didn't have the know-how, the knack, so it was only natural I'd be anxious. The dark clouds of unease told me doing nothing would be the easiest way. A truly pathetic suggestion this late in the game. Have you forgotten how miserable Satoko looked? From the outside, it may have looked like I was resolute, but deep in my heart, my knees were shaking loudly. I've never actually won a single fight to my satisfaction. Could I really kill someone? I may have been planning an ambush, but my enemy was large and far older than me. He had a scary face, and he looked like he was well accustomed to fighting. Could I have... All the pieces before and after the murder were perfectly planned, but was the actual murder the most important part, what unsettled me the most? All my preparations, all of my perfectly concealed machinations. If I didn't successfully murder him, they amounted to nothing. Damn it! After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi Maebara. If you start to have these kinds of wonderful second thoughts... Wonderful, yeah, where did that word come from? Your ulterior motive will be obvious. Let's go home. Go home and calm your mind. Tomorrow will be a juncture in your life, the likes of which graduation, employment, marriage, and childbirth couldn't hold a candle to. A day of murder. To kill someone for someone else's sake. With that day behind us, we would take it back again. Those mild, spring-like days we never thought would stop. Those safe, peaceful, fun times. I pedaled my bicycle hard to get back home. I felt somehow unsteady, like my body and soul weren't in alignment. A subtle shift between where the tips of my hands and feet really were and where I felt them to be. My vision was a little distant and narrow, as if the great barrier I risked my future life on had nothing to do with me. An unreal sensation. How could I put it? What the fuck? Is my dad sawing something outside? At this time of day? It's fucking, like, 5 p.m., dude. How could I put it? Everything was so far away. Fine. Feel your unease permeate you, Keiichi Maebara. If that will turn your timidity into meticulousness and allow you to act with greater caution, then it's actually an important emotion to feel. This feeling I had never went away that night. Night falls. It was the first time I'd be calling Mion's house. I searched for her in the phone book the school gave me, then dialed a short phone number, the kind unique to remote places. It was around dinner time. She would probably be home. But just as I started to think nobody would respond, someone finally picked up the receiver. Hello, this is Sonozaki. Oh, I'm sorry for calling so late at night. Is this Mion? Huh? May I ask who's calling? It's me, Keiichi. Oh, Kei-chan. It's pretty late. What's up? She seemed to be in a weirdly good mood as she drew her syllables out. Right, it's the night before tomorrow's festival, so she's probably with her family having some drinks. Sorry for the late call. Do you have time right now? Sure. What is it? It's about Satoko. I heard her drawing a small breath on the other end. Satoko. She's in a pretty bad spot. I hope she's okay. The scent of sake had completely disappeared from her voice. She can't be okay. You saw too, didn't you? What she was like? She was completely worn out from all the abuse. We failed her all this time, and now she's become like that. We didn't fail her. Everyone tried their hardest to help her, but we didn't come up with anything, and we couldn't save her. In the end, we couldn't do anything about it, and now she's become like that. I guess you're right. All I did was watch after all. So, well, couldn't we at least let her have fun for one night? Huh? Let her have fun? She's been so battered lately, you understand? Great word choice, Keiichi, great one. That's why. I want you to take her to the Watanagashi festival tomorrow. I don't mind. But why? Why? I want to give her a breather, at least for the festival night, you know? Even if it's just one night, if she can get away from her evil uncle, then I think she'll be happy, even if it's only for a little while. Yes, but why? Why? Why what? I was having a little difficulty understanding what Mion was asking me. Why? Well, I mean, why don't you bring her, Kei-chan? Why do you need to ask me to do it? Mion was persistent about odd things. No, she has a point though, you dumbass. No, maybe it'd be better to say that she was sharp. I actually have something to do tomorrow. I can't make it to the festival. So I wanted you to take Satoko there for me. Something to do? It's nothing major. I'll probably finish quickly, but I might not be able to meet up with you all tomorrow. Hey, Mion? Could I leave Satoko to you, just for tomorrow night? Mion took a long time to give her reply. I got the feeling that Mion had been acting weird for a while now. Like she was flustered by emotions or something. No. Heck? Huh? Was that a sob? Okay. I didn't know if that was like a sob heck or a drunk heck. Mion? Are you crying? I said no. I don't want to. I don't want you to push this onto someone like me. I'm not trying to push anything onto you. It's just for tomorrow night. That was a lie. What? Mion, what was she talking about? Saying it's just for the night of Watanagashi. And then it was forever. Liar. Oh, I think I know what this is then, okay. But I guess we're even, huh? I couldn't keep the promise I made with you. I left her alone. Alone all this time. Oh no, now I definitely know more of what this is supposed to be, huh? At least I think? It probably is. I don't know. I had no idea what to say to that. Mion was clearly now talking to someone other than me. I didn't know who. All I could do was listen to her in a daze. You never came back after that. Now you called me again to push her onto me. You're so unfair. Hey, you're Satoshi-kun, aren't you? Mion? What are you talking about? When I said her name, whatever spell was on Mion was released. Yeah, I 100% know what this is supposed to be then, yeah. I'm sorry. It's nothing. It's just that I got a phone call a lot like the one you're making now. A long time ago. Was it from Satoshi? Mion didn't answer. All I could hear were sobs coming through the receiver. Sorry. I think I'm still a little tipsy. I got all weirdly emotional. Sorry, I probably scared you. I had no idea how it happened, but I was pretty sure that last year, on this very day, Satoshi had called Mion and told her to bring Satoko to the festival. And when she asked why he needed her to do it, he replied the same way I just did. Satoshi didn't go to the festival, did he? Yeah, he said he had something to do and couldn't make it. Then he told me to take Satoko there in his place. At the time, Satoshi said it too, didn't he? That he'd leave Satoko to you? Yeah, he did. Just for tomorrow night. The way you said it was just like how he did. I just got a little upset, caught up in a memory and all. I didn't expect this. Satoshi had given her the exact same phone call, 1 year ago today. After that, Mion had said more. That he, was lying. That he told her it would only be for the night of the festival. I get it. A few days later, Satoshi, he disappeared. Disappeared might have been a rather vague way to put it. Whether he ran away or not, Satoshi left, abandoning Satoko. Yes, he didn't transfer or run away from home. He disappeared. And then, an idea far more indistinct than even fog crossed my mind. Satoshi made exactly the same phone call as me last year. Why would Satoshi make the exact same call? If, in the truest sense, he really made the exact same phone call as I am right now, then the incident where their aunt was beaten to death, could it... Was Satoshi... Huh? What was that? Last year, Satoko had been constantly abused by her uncle's wife, their aunt too. Her aunt abused her the most, and on that night, in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse, she was taken from this world. If I thought about that, everything made perfect sense, didn't it? Last year, Satoko's aunt was beaten to death, wasn't she? Would it be impossible for Satoshi to have... No, but that would mean... But then, Satoshi... He was a coward who abandoned Satoko and ran away, wasn't he? How could Satoshi resolve himself to kill a person to save Satoko? It was unthinkable. I actually considered that as well. That would be mean to Satoshi. A few days later, he disappeared. On Satoko's birthday. When I first heard it, I flew into a rage. What a cruel day to have run away on. But, now that I thought about it like this, the story changed completely. Satoshi had probably been even less calm than I was now. He was her big brother, related by blood, watching his little sister be abused day in and day out. Maybe that's why he couldn't keep calm. And that was why the corpse of their aunt, beaten to death, was so easily discovered. Yeah, Satoshi lost himself in his anger and hadn't hidden the corpse. He permitted a beginning to occur. If the police conducted a full-blown investigation, it was easy to imagine they wouldn't take long to pin down Satoshi as the culprit. Satoshi. He wished for a return to peaceful days with Satoko, and though he achieved it for a time, he had been steadily driven into a corner. And then, he wanted to at least hold out until Satoko's birthday, but finally, they nailed him. At the time, Satoshi had been carrying the savings he amassed to buy Satoko a giant stuffed animal for a birthday present. He would buy the stuffed animal as her gift, and then get caught. Or he could use the money and disappear. That was the choice he had been forced to make. And then he decided not to make Satoko the sister of a murderer. If that was the case, then it must have been an unspeakably bitter decision. All that money he'd saved wanting to see Satoko happy, he had to use it to make her sad. And he used the savings and disappeared to Tokyo, if the rumors were true. Was that how Satoshi disappeared? I don't know. That Oishi guy seems to think that way, though. Oishi. Had he been slowly driven into a corner by that repulsive man's pig-headed pursuit? Nice alliteration, dude. The circumstantial evidence is all there, but I think your deduction is wrong. They caught some lowlife somewhere in the prefecture and he apparently turned himself in for the crime. That was right. The deviant had confessed, and the incident was solved. They said he really was just a crazy person, and that he had no ties to Hinamizawa. And no relationship with Satoshi, of course. I mean, I have a pretty hard time believing the guy would lie in Satoshi's place. You couldn't just arbitrarily decide like that. You never know where or how humans are tied together. If that guy took the blame, then it was the perfect crime. Of course, if it was really a perfect crime, there would have been no reason for Satoshi to vanish. Plus, I don't think Satoshi had the kind of money to run away. That day he withdrew all his savings. No matter who I tell this to, nobody believes me, but that stuffed animal he said he was buying for Satoko, it was gone from the display, sold. It must have been Satoshi. Wait a minute. If he didn't use the money to flee and bought the stuffed animal instead, he would have gone back to Satoko, wouldn't he? It seems unbelievable he'd buy it and then disappear without having given it to her. Wait, that was Keiichi, I'm an idiot. Yeah, so now I don't know what happened. It would be one thing if he had the money, but if he used all his savings on it, he'd be totally broke. You can't live a life on the run without money in this world. I didn't get it. After all that, I was understanding Satoshi less and less. The two of us fell silent. I couldn't remember how we even got on this topic. Sorry. I think we got off topic. Satoko, right? Don't worry. I actually already invited her. Huh? You serious? When everyone went to the shrine to prepare for the festival, we started talking about getting Satoko to the festival himself. So then I used the phone at the assembly hall to invite her. Her uncle was acting distant and didn't seem to care at all. But in any case, we got the okay from him. We decided to all meet up and go together tomorrow. You okay with that? Satoshi? Stupid, I'm not Satoshi. I was a little relieved. I hadn't needed to make the phone call. Satoko had already been invited to the festival. And not in a way that smelled of blood. A way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. Alright, I think I want to go into spoiler time for a second, so obviously, this is not Mion, this is Shion. I'm like 99.5% sure that's Shion. I don't see why it would be Mion. That's gotta be Shion. Shion and Satoshi already had that relationship. Keiichi and Mion kind of have that relationship, so it makes sense for Keiichi to call Mion, but he only ended up getting Shion because Shion's pretending to be Mion. Yeah. So then, yeah, that's what's going on here. Because Satoshi did kill, their aunt. He did do that. And he got captured by Takano or whatever and put in the lab. Because of Hinamizawa syndrome or something. I don't fucking know. But either way, he's not in Tokyo. He didn't run away and he's not in jail. So, he's in a laboratory somewhere. I don't know what lab. It's Takano's secret lab, I'm pretty sure, like the basement of it. But that's besides the point. Anyways, now I have a fucking theory about Tatarigoroshi, the anime, so if you don't want spoilers for the anime, we're going into spoiler time for that, potentially, so yeah. So remember how I said that a particular difference that caught my eye, or really just grabbed my attention, was the part where Shion said that she wanted in on the promise to keep Satoko safe with Keiichi and Irie. Maybe the reason for that is because she had already promised Satoshi that. I don't believe that she said that here in Tatarigoroshi. Maybe she did. But if she didn't, then fine. I don't know. If she did, then fine, more so. If she didn't, then yes, that's a difference in the anime. And maybe, just maybe, Keiichi won't kill Teppei, Shion will. Maybe. As for how that would relate to the whole time loop stuff, not a clue. That's just more like the unique tragedy for the arc, you know? That's the only thing I can really think of for that. Like, it would make sense for Shion to kill Teppei just as much as it makes sense for Keiichi to kill Teppei. They both hate him just as much. And we already know that if either of them have Hinamizawa syndrome, they are fucking cold and ruthless. Like, fucking damn, dude. At least when Keiichi's not in a panic thinking that everyone's against him. Because I'm pretty sure he does have Hinamizawa syndrome in this arc, right? Because it's supposed to parallel what happened to Satoshi, kind of. And I'm pretty sure Satoko also does. But I don't know. No one else does, if that, so yeah, I think that might happen in Tatarigoroshi. Or it could even be that both Keiichi and Shion work together to kill Teppei. That's possible. Then there's Irie, but I don't know. Not sure about what Irie would do. Probably nothing, because he's Irie, but, you know, that's besides the point. Let's continue. Welcome back. And not in a way that smelled of blood. A way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. They purely wanted Satoko to enjoy herself, so they invited her. In the end, it was the same, but I was happy for that slight difference. Sorry. I guess I didn't need to call then. First yesterday, now today. Sorry for, saying such weird things. Just forget about it. No, I'm the one who should apologize. Losing it like that isn't like me. Yes, it is. I'm really sorry. We apologized to each other for a little bit. Alright, I'll be going now. Good night. What did you have to do? As if interrupting her parting words, Mion struck straight where it hurt. Or is it like with Satoshi where you can't say? Stupid. I keep telling you, I'm not Satoshi. Yeah, I know that. I deflected her with a response that wasn't really an answer. Mion didn't hound me anymore after that. Alright, this time for real. Good night. I don't know why you're giving me the same phone call as Satoshi-kun did, but... yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. Good night. I'm hanging up. Quick. Satoshi Hojo. Just who are you? I scorned you as a coward who ran away, abandoning his sister. I always thought you didn't have the right to call yourself her Nini, but now I didn't know what to think. Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 4th year, their aunt's death, and Satoshi's disappearance. And now, me, trying to carry out Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 5th. Oddly enough, what I was going to do overlapped perfectly with Satoshi, the day before the curse. No, that wasn't all. If we start back from Satoko being abused, then I've been overlapping with Satoshi for days already. When I talked to Mion before, she asked me if I was Satoshi. If that was the first impression of a third party like Mion got, then it was probably true. Then, as Satoshi had accomplished, I would succeed in the murder. But that was the extent to which we overlapped. I was far calmer than Satoshi, and more calculating. Okay, dude. I could actually grow calmer, the more enthusiastic I became. That's why I wouldn't follow in Satoshi's footsteps. I would snip him cleanly out of the world, and then get our peaceful life back. Maybe Satoshi has been with me ever since I chose to use Satoshi's bat as my weapon. No, maybe even longer than that. When I decided I'd be her Nini, maybe Satoshi had been residing within me then too. Satoshi, were you really a coward? Or are you a true Nini even now? The kind worthy of Satoko's love? I never met him, never spoken to him, didn't even know his face, and yet I felt so connected to him. I never felt that way before. And then, blomp, yeah. I knew it. This chapter is very good so far, like, oh my god. It's kinda hard to put into words, it's just really good. Alright, note on the housewife murder case, let's do that. Yeah, let's read that tip. Achievement. Achievement unlocked, possessed. Alrighty. For the attention of those on the housewife slaughter incident case. Is this just gonna basically say what actually happened? July blank blank 1982. Okinomiya Police Station 1st Investigative Division. Chief Takasugi. Blank Prefecture Police Headquarters for the Eradication of Drug-Related Crime. Shishibane Branch Head blank blank. Regarding incident blank designated as undercover investigation. This message is to inform you that a section of the testimony records of an incident under this police headquarters jurisdiction has been found. That is thought to be related to the undercover investigation of the incident in question, Okinomiya Police Station X, Hinamizawa Village housewife slaughter incident. During investigation of suspect blank blank, who was arrested for possession of illegal drugs, there was testimony alluding to the crime in question, and it became clear that it contained information that only the perpetrator could have known. Therefore, we are prepared to share this record of testimony with you. Duplicate attached. If this testimonial is to be believed, then there is an extremely high chance that suspect blank blank was the perpetrator in the incident in question. In addition, on receiving this testimony with the head investigator on the case, inquired as to the incident with the Okinomiya police station, but the responsible party at Okinomiya police station misunderstood, and in compliance with the designation as an undercover investigation by executive order from Prefectural Police Headquarters on July 1st, 1982, General Administration B-112, they did not explain the incident's existence to the head investigator as they should have. Because of this, the head investigator did not realize the importance of the testimony as it related to the case in question, and as a result, was negligent when combing the scene. We apologize for having effectively ignored it until now. In addition, there is a postscript stating that suspect blank blank died while in confinement yesterday on month day, I'm guessing. Or day month, doesn't really matter. Huh. Death happening, weird. I wonder. Alright, well, that's gonna be it for this episode then, guys. Next episode will not be recorded on Sunday, though, game. It will be uploaded on a Sunday, though, funnily enough. As long as I actually record this on Saturday, which I should. I should be able to. I should have plenty of time. But either way, that's gonna be it for this episode, guys. If you liked it, then be sure to press the like button. And if you didn't like it, then fuck you too. Remember to subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all my videos and stuff. And as always, my name is Godzi, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye!